Hello, my name is John Glover, and I am the Director of Artistic Planning for Kaufman Music Center, based in New York City, where we believe that music is essential to the human experience and vital to education for all. I am thrilled that you are joining us for the second event connected to Lisa Bielawa's Voters Broadcast, which has been commissioned as a part of the Democracy and Debate themed semester by the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, with support from its School of Music, Theater, and Dance, and is developed in partnership with us at Kaufman Music Center. Lisa is one of Kaufman's 2021 artists in residence, and we're honored to be co-presenter of this project, which includes not only these 3 virtual events, but a series of in-person, socially distanced performances planned for the first day of early voting in New York City on Saturday, October 24th. Those performances will be in collaboration with the Brooklyn Public Library at their central branch at Grand Army Plaza. Kaufman Music Center is also serving as a polling location this year in its commitment to civic engagement. It is my pleasure to welcome Matthew VanBesien, President of the University of Musical Society, University of Michigan, who will tell you more about the project and moderate today's event. Welcome, Matthew.
Thank you very much, John, and hello to everyone in New York and at the Kaufman Music Center, and welcome to our University of Michigan audiences and everyone else who's joining us today. This is an exciting afternoon. This is the second part of a 3-part unveiling of the Voters Broadcast by Lisa Bielawa, and we are thrilled to have you here with us. I think we should get right to it and welcome the fantastic Lisa Bielawa. Lisa, great to see you. It seems like yesterday when we were talking about part 1.
I know, except, you know, there's a whole new thing happening now, so it's been a big 2 weeks.
Yeah, I bet. Tell us a little bit about what your 2 weeks have been like, actually, if you're willing to share.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you know, what's been happening in the last couple of weeks is that Cheryl Oring has been doing her I Wish to Say typing sessions. These are sessions where she has Zoom. She and several other typists have Zoom meetings with people who can come and dictate their messages, their postcards to the next president. And she's been doing that, and a lot of people in the University of Michigan community have been making these postcards. So as these have been coming in, I've been integrating them into the musical material that I was started to develop before, and I've been sort of bringing them in. Then I sent phrases out to the choirs that you'll hear today, and we're going to talk to some of the directors that I was working with. And then I got the phrases back around a week ago from the instrumentalists at the University of Michigan the School of Music and Theater and Dance music department, and put all of these in a couple of big sessions. You know, a couple hundred tracks you're going to hear here, so it's getting bigger. And we get a chance to hear a lot of different, voices singing a lot of different voices, right? A lot of different voices in terms of their messages and their visions for the country in the future, and a lot of different actual voices singing those messages. So
part 1 that we unveiled last time was really about sort of salutation. So this next part is really about sort of visions and sort of more specific things that voters are looking for, correct?
Yes. Yeah, well, last week I did a little bit of a teaser last week. There were mostly salutations, and then at the end you got into the section that that I like to call petitions. And the petitions are usually the lion's share, because many people in their postcards to the next president use the word please, fill in the blank. So I always am looking for the word please when I read through these, and I set them aside. And it's very interesting, sort of the range of things that people ask for. So you're going to hear a sort of a continuation and an expansion of the petitions now. It's going to start with that. And then we're going to get into a section that I like to call exhortations, which means that the word please comes off. Now people are just telling the next president what they want, what they want the president to do, that these are more emphatic. So we're going from a sort of a continuation and a deepening of the petitions into a section that has more of a demanding tone to it.
It feels like we may be in that more emphatic stage as a society.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes, I think it was a natural progression, actually. I mean, it was the progression that's already set up in this sort of template of the piece itself. It was the template that I had when I worked on the Voters Litany with texts that came from this project that were entirely from 2019 and before. For the National Cathedral. But as it turns out, this time, since I'm using sort of a similar framework of, sort of organizing the texts, it turns out that it does seem to be mapping the energy of us as a sort of as a people as we get ready for our voting. So
talk a little bit about the pace of your work on this project versus it's a bit of a loaded question, but I'm really curious to know how differently, for you as a creator and a composer, how is this work different in terms of its pace and intensity?
Wow. Well, it's interesting, when you write traditional concert music, you're writing a piece this size, let's say, for this many people, which is a huge, pretty large orchestra and soloists and a chorus. Then you go through this process that usually is very long, and you refine and you polish and you sort of make every detail count in the score, and then you send it away. And then there's a rehearsal process. And then there's the amazing, then there's the reward, which is the premiere, which is the very end. And in this case, it's really, there's sort of more reward early on, because in fact, I write these phrases in a much less detail-oriented way, wide open. And then I get people's performances back, and I get to hear these amazing voices. And that actually, it's almost as if I get to hear the sort of I get to hear the realization even before I've finished the conceptualization.
Right.
It's very interesting. And then it ends up influencing. And I've been widening that gap as I write this work and other works that I've been making in the pandemic and in lockdown. I've been learning to open that process even more, so that I actually back away from polish and refinement in the first phrases to give singers room. In a way, it's a more democratic process, right? It gives singers and the players more room to bring their own playerliness or their own singerliness to the piece. And I think it enhances and deepens my feeling of collaboration with people, which is something we all need. We don't have a lot of ways to deepen and enhance our feeling of collaboration with one another. And I'm finding that for me, this is really working.
So I want to remind all of our viewers today that you can submit questions in the chat bar as you're watching, and we will do our best to monitor those and field them throughout this. And we also want to know where you are sending us a message from, whether you're in New York City, whether you're in Southeast Michigan, or wherever you are in the world today. So, and Lisa, I just want to bring up one other thing, which is that, I didn't think we could top. Last time it was your birthday when we did this. But I understand that there's some great news and some congratulations in order today on the Grammy front.
Oh, there are?
Oh, well, maybe I'm spoiling something that I shouldn't spoil. I'll come back to you about that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
These are the unexpected. These are the off-script moments that they try to hope. They hope that I don't.
All I do is voters broadcast. I don't know which way's up.
Let me find that communication, and we'll come back to that.
Excellent.
But Lisa, we're thrilled. We're excited about hearing part 2 today, and we want to welcome some other guests. And Lisa, I hope that you'll stick around for this conversation, because I think part of the interest of all this is to see you and artists and collaborators interact. So I want to welcome now 2 really fantastic colleagues, neither of whom I've had the chance to see since we've all been locked down in early March. But I want to please welcome Dr. Eugene Rogers, who is the Director of Choral Activities at the University of Michigan, and he's also the newly appointed artistic director at the Washington Chorus. So welcome, Eugene. It's great to see you.
Good to be here with both
Wow.
of you. Hello.
Hello.
Great to see you. And I also want to welcome the director of the UMS Choral Union. That's our wonderful chorus at the University Musical Society, my great colleague, Scott Hanoian. If Scott is here, there he is. Look at this, the magic of digital media today. So anyway, welcome to both of you. Maybe we'll start with you, Eugene.
Sure.
First of all, how are you doing? How have things been through all this? And we wanted each of you to talk to you each a little bit about the impact on you as directors, as leaders of choral groups in this moment, in this really challenging moment.
Sure. How am I doing? That's a loaded question.
Yes, I know.
So, my dear friend Carol Icahn said, okay is the new great. So I am doing okay.
Yeah,
that is how I'm doing. But chorally, I've been pretty fortunate. Of course, at the Washington Chorus, everything's virtual, right?
right.
At U of M, two out of the 9 vocal ensembles are hybrid. We're meeting in person as well as online, and so that has actually been somewhat refreshing. Even of course, we're following all the regulated socially distanced guidelines, but I have to say, having the hybrid model and the fully online model has been encouraging. So.
That's wonderful to hear. Yeah,
that's great. And Scott, how are your folks doing throughout?
Well, okay, I like that, Eugene. We're doing okay. We are, of course, Choral Union is entirely online this fall, and it's it's been a challenge, but it's certainly been being able to be together even in an online platform has been something that we've just embraced, and we had no choice, obviously, but I think that we've warmed into it even a little bit. So I mean, while we can't be in person, obviously our mission hasn't changed, and we want to make sure that we can further our mission, which is to bring singers together and make sure that we're creating performances that impact others. So any way to do that, if we have to embrace Zoom and we have to embrace GarageBand and all those wonderful things, we're going to do it.
And talk about your experiences with Voters Broadcast with Lisa here. Have you ever had a project quite like this?
Well, yes and no. I mean, Scott and I, excitingly, we are in the process of actually working on a huge project together that'll be launched October 29th. And our choirs are definitely used to rehearsing and preparing. Mm-hmm. But what makes this so unique is that first of all, Lisa's ability to compose within a day and say, here you go, which I love. And there's no click track. Everything we're doing has a click track. You got to be in time. And the amount of freedom she gave the singers, as well as I think that when she worked with our singers at the School of Music, Theater, and Dance, she kept saying, I'm more soloistic. And, we have a lot of opera voice majors here. So that was like a dream to hear her say, I want your own individual sound for this. And I will create ensemble from that. So it's very freeing in that way. So that's,
and Eugene, you let me know also, and you'll hear this. You let me know that you have singers who are actually proficient in a variety of styles, and so I kind of went there. I mean, I opened up the score. You'll hear the first 2.5 minutes or so feature singers from the Choral Union. And then we get into this section that is the end of the petitions into the exhortations that really focuses in on some soloists, members of the chamber choir who are featured as soloists.
Excellent. That's great.
Yeah.
So in Scott, going to the UMS Choral Union, what was that conversation like the first time when you went to them and said, hey, we're thinking about doing this project?
Well, certainly when in the world of technology these days, I mean, you never know what you're going to get, really. So when you're dealing with somebody, it could be a project that takes a whole lot of devices and all kinds of things. But working with Lisa, of course, she is just a dream with technology. So in addition to being a wonderful composer and an artist of all sorts, but she also knows all the technology. So for a chorus of 150 that has varying levels of technological prowess, Lisa has managed to completely navigate all of that. So it's been complete ease for us, and I'm certainly grateful to all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm a lot further along with that than I was in April.
Yeah, aren't we all? I would say, yeah, definitely. It's been a learning curve, to say the least.
I would like to add the thing that I also know that I've heard from the students is how much they love singing about content of the now, right now. I mean, and the fact that she even sent us, as she said, alluded to earlier, sent us texts that were just written like days beforehand. You know, we're on a vibrant campus, and anytime these students can be connected right now to what's happening, it always motivates them more. So thank you for that.
Oh, yeah. Eugene, you told me too that didn't you actually let the students sort of guide which solo sections and which texts they felt most connected to, and they were able to go with their own vision.
We're always looking for things that are relevant in the artistic world, and boy, there is nothing more relevant than what we've created for this. So let me tell you.
Thanks, guys. It was a pleasure. Boy, it was great. I always say it's sort of like my birthday, because I get all these gifts in the form of like singers singing. You know, it's fantastic.
Well, we so appreciate, Scott, Eugene, your participation today, but of course in this piece. And I just want to say, I've missed seeing you guys.
Yeah.
Like it feels like an eternity since I've had the chance to lay eyes on either of you. So wonderful to see you. I wish you the very best. And thanks for all that you're doing for your own groups, but for the musical world right now, we really need your courage and perseverance. So thank you.
Here. Yeah.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thanks, guys. Take care. We're going to pivot over to, one of the things that we really enjoyed the last time we got together was actually hearing from some student participants in this work. Of course, that component, I think, makes this work that much more potent and sort of interesting and powerful. So it's our pleasure to welcome both Catherine Rower, who's a singer and student at the School of Music, Theater, and Dance here at the University of Michigan, and Amaya Hawkins, who's a student at the Kaufman Music Center's Special Music School. Hi, Amaya. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Can you tell us just a little bit about yourselves for the audience? Amaya, do you want to start?
Sure. My name is Amaya Hawkins. I'm a senior at SMS, and I'm a vocal major.
And I'm Katie, and I am a second-year master's student in choral conducting at the University of Michigan. I had been teaching in the public schools for a number of years, and I'm studying here now.
Great. Welcome to you both. So tell us a little bit about what this experience has been like for you. Katie, do you want to start? Have you done a project that's even remotely similar to this before?
Nothing as aleatoric as this, nothing as free form as this, which I loved. And I'm going to echo some of what Lisa said and what Dr. Rogers said, is that the democratic process of putting this together really did allow for some true expression from the individuals, which I have found lacking in some of my click track experiences. Inevitably, when you are forced to stick to a metronomic track, you lose some of that ability to just be in the moment. So yeah, this was unlike anything I've done before. I appreciated being able to look through the text, choose what spoke to me, and then just play with it. Didn't take too long to record. I did have a little tuner out next to my Audacity on my computer to make sure I did something as accurate as possible for Lisa. But otherwise, it was like a joyful 30, 45-minute session for myself.
Oh, wonderful.
Lots of agency, which, we don't always find, as performers. So that's great.
Katie went towards the ecological. I'll just say that her voice comes through there when you hear the woman's voice singing about our earth. That's Katie.
Mm-hmm.
And Amaya, how was your experience with this?
It was like none other. I do have to say that this was a very unique and personal experience for me. Mm-hmm. Coming from SMS, most of the time when we're in choir, it's about, like Katie said, staying on the beat, blending with everybody. It's one unison voice. You all have to be together all on time. But for this, it was just like I could bring out what I wanted as an artist myself and incorporate, a little flair here and there. And I just thought it was a really interesting experience. And I had so much fun adding, my part in something that's so big and so relevant at this time.
That's great. I'd love to hear from you a little bit, if I could sort of put you on the spot. Tell us a little bit about what this upcoming election means, maybe not politically so much, but, sort of how you and your peers at school are viewing the importance of this election upcoming.
I would have to say, I think not just like me and my peers, but like my whole generation as well, at a really young age, have found that it's super important to be involved with politics, no matter what side you're on, because especially like during this time, I believe that this election is going to be one of the most groundbreaking elections I think this country has ever seen. And I think just for the most part that it's really important for kids my age to be involved with things like this and to know what our future is going to be and what role we play in our own future.
That's super. Thank you for that. Katie, any thoughts on all the energy and thrashing leading up to this election?
Energy and thrashing. You know, I think that everyone is activated. And I think that and everyone in my peer group, the undergrads, my family, all generations are highly activated individuals because of our circumstances. And this particular work, I think, is the only one that I'm a part of in this season that speaks to that. These are tough times.
Yes.
They're anxiety ridden. I think it's playing out in the way we operate in day-to-day life and in our studies. I'm anxious for the next 20 days.
Yeah. Well put, both of you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we're all feeling that anxiousness.
It's in part 2. You're going to hear it.
Yeah.
The anxiousness. You're going to hear it. It's in people's voices, and the sort of there's a sort of a energy of expectation, in it. It's very interesting.
Lisa, has this work developed in the ways that you've fully imagined? Are the voices that you've been able to weave together what you expected, different than what you expected? And especially students, I think.
Yeah. Well, students, I mean, I think, as I mentioned, in the case of the UM Chamber Choir, I didn't know that I was going to be working with a group that had the ability to kind of move in so many different stylistic directions, which I think is really inspiring. And in the case of working with SMS, with the Special Music School at Kaufman Music Center, these kids are I'm going to sing with them live. We're going to be doing this together. So I'm involved in rehearsals with them now on these little Zoom boxes together. And just knowing that I'm going to be over there, that I'm going to be up there with them, that we're going to be able to represent, masked, of course, that we're going to be able to represent, but that also these are young people who can't vote yet, and so to engage them in this process is somehow particularly meaningful to me in that way. And so I think, yeah, I feel a lot of focus and a lot of inspiration from it. And I feel the piece opening out. I started with certain materials that, from years of work on it and from this sort of template that I already had in this other work. And now it's just growing into this, this thing of the moment. And it's because of all you guys. It's because of the, yeah.
Well, we're really proud to have you here today, Amaya and Katie. We wish you the best in all that you're doing. Amaya, we'd love to see you here at the University of Michigan in the future. So don't, keep us in mind. And we're just thrilled to have you here. Thank you for your participation in the work. Thank you for your artistry and for your thoughtfulness today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you take care. So I think we're ready to unveil the second part now. Lisa, you want to tee this up for us?
I guess. I'll just say, just to repeat what I said before about, what you're going to hear is this is continuous. In other words, it will flow directly from last week. So it's going to start in this sort of petitions, an intensification of what it is that people are asking in their letters to the president, please, right? And then it gets into more direct exhortations that people have been addressing to the presidents from 2004 through 3 days ago. So
fantastic. Yeah. Thank you for joining us today, everyone. We're going to come back with a few words and thoughts after the premiere, but please enjoy the second part of Lisa Bielawa's Voters broadcast.
Thanks.
take a moment.
Take a moment.
Let's consider do a good job.
Please don't
sharper work tomorrow.
Let's do better.
Tell us how you feel.
Thank you for that, Lisa.
Thanks.
Congratulations. I'm actually so happy that we got to see those credits and all the performers involved in this, both in terms of recognizing them, but also just giving us all as listeners a moment to just pause and reflect.
Yeah, it's, you know, you can hear the direction we're going here. You know?
Yeah. And reminding people that those postcards go back all the way to 2004, and yet I'm sure you feel a certain type of direction in the last several years, because I think we all feel it, a sense of urgency.
Well, you know, and it's interesting because, of course, one of the things that I think is really important, you know, with this project, we talked about it a little bit last time. For me, I'd like to stay focused on what it is people want from their leaders. You know, so I have very little interest, for example, in the sort of guessing game of which president or future president people here were writing to, because you just heard things that were addressed to every president, every sitting president, and every potential president, right? Because in election years, Cheryl asks the question, you know, what would you like to say to the next president?
Right.
So you also, so in other words, right now you're hearing things that are addressed to either candidate. And in previous years, for example, last week with the salutations, we heard "Dear Mr. or Mrs. President," because we're looking forward, in some cases, to a woman as president. So it's very interesting. You know.
I love how fundamental so many of the requests are, right? I mean, there was the Route 78 one, which I love that you threw in.
That.
But
send me $50 is great too. Yeah,
they're really about the foundations of the country.
Absolutely.
You must feel that palpably when you're weaving these together.
It shows you what it is that people want from their leaders. Just, it's a very human thing. You know, that's what society is. Society is an organization of human beings into, you know, a functional unit that has leadership. And that leadership, there's a relationship, there's a contract. And people who address the president are articulating their understanding of the contract that exists between themselves and their leaders. That's what we're hearing, I think, in these pieces, is that contract, their understanding of that contract. It's very interesting.
So that was part 2 of Voters Broadcast. We have a session 2 weeks from today, also at 3 p.m. for the full unveiling. Is there anything you want to say to our audience today as a teaser or as a prelude to that session 2 weeks from now?
I guess what I would say is, you know, it was wonderful to see all the names there and to see how many people are participating. The good news is that I wasn't even able to use everything that came in. So you think that was a lot of people. I'd say tune in next time, you know, and let's see how we can, you know, be in the presence of as many voices as I'm hearing now. I can't wait to share that with you all.
Sounds like another intense 2 weeks. And we will look forward and both to the 28th, but also that we get that much closer to this election. And we want to remind everyone who's here with us today that part of Voters Broadcast is to encourage voter participation. And so we ask all of you to go to headcount.org. That's just like it sounds, HEADCOUNT.org. You can check your voter registration. You can make a plan to vote. There are states that I think voter registration has already expired, but I think there are many, many states, including our own here in Michigan, where you can register to vote even on the day on November 3rd. So please go to www.headcount.org. Any closing thoughts, Lisa, before we say goodbye for today?
I want to thank you, thank all the partners, and thank especially all you performers. It's just really, this is an amazing way to feel like I'm part of something, and you guys have given that to me. So thank you.
Our pleasure. Please join us on October 28th, again at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. The entire Voters Broadcast work will be performed, and we're looking forward to that and continued conversation with Lisa Bielawa. You can join the U of M, the University of Michigan's Democracy and Debate website for upcoming events. We actually, if I can just do a very, very quick plug, we announced a wonderful conversation on October 20th for University of Michigan students with the amazing Trevor Noah. He will join students at 8:30 p.m. on October 20th. So there's a lot of really great activity happening in the democracy and debate arena here at the University of Michigan, and I dare say across the United States. Lisa, thank you for being an incredible part of that. Thanks. And we will see you in 2 weeks. And thanks to everyone for joining us today. And I'm getting all the sunshine this afternoon. So everyone take care, and congratulations, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Thanks, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.